For most of my life, I believed that time could heal anything, even broken family ties. My stepbrother, Liam, and I had once been inseparable, bound not by blood, but by shared childhood memories and loss. But time, it seemed, could also sharpen wounds instead of mending them. We grew up under one roof after our parents remarried, two boys learning to navigate a forced brotherhood. I was the elder, the responsible one. Liam was quieter, moodier, always feeling like he stood in someone else's shadow. Our father used to say, "You two will need each other one day." I never imagined how prophetic that would become. After our parents passed, the distance between us became an ocean. I threw myself into work, building a life brick by brick, until I owned a small but thriving company. Liam, on the other hand, drifted from one job to another, chasing dreams that never seemed to last. We hadn't spoken properly in nearly 8 years when he suddenly showed up at my office door one rainy afternoon. He looked different. Thinner, eyes weary, but burning with something I couldn't name. "Ethan," he said softly, "I just wanted to see you. I think it's time we start over." I wanted to believe him. Maybe I needed to. There was something about seeing my only remaining family again that pulled at old strings in my heart. He spoke about regrets, about wanting to fix what we'd lost. And when he told me he'd found love, that he was getting engaged, I felt a genuine spark of happiness for him. "Let me help," I told him. "I'll take care of the engagement expenses. It's time we celebrate something good together." He smiled, though I caught a flicker of something behind it. Something unreadable. Looking back now, I realized that was a first warning sign. But in that moment, all I saw was my brother and a second chance at family. The engagement party was held at a private hall overlooking the city, the kind of place that made everything look golden under its chandeliers. I had spared no expense. After all, this was my stepbrother's big day, and I wanted it to be perfect. For the first time in years, it felt like our family had a reason to smile again. Liam arrived with his fiancée, Clara, a graceful woman with kind eyes and a nervous smile. She seemed genuinely in love, though I noticed how her hand trembled slightly when she introduced herself. "You're Ethan," she said warmly. "Liam has told me so much about you." I smiled back, but something in her tone felt heavy, like there was more she wanted to say but couldn't. Throughout the evening, Liam played the role of the charming host flawlessly. He laughed, told stories, toasted the family, and thanked me repeatedly for making this all possible. His words sounded sincere, but there was a certain sharpness beneath his gratitude, a tone I couldn't quite place. As the night went on, I noticed little things that didn't sit right. Liam seemed unusually fixated on my wife, Rachel, complimenting her often, asking about our marriage, our children, Ella and Ben. He even took several photos of them, claiming he wanted memories of family. At first, I brushed it off as harmless excitement, but Clara's uneasy glances told me otherwise. Later that night, while everyone was busy dancing, I stepped outside for a breath of air. The laughter and music faded behind me. That's when I heard it. Liam's voice, low and tense, from around the corner. "He has no idea," he whispered. "Not yet, but he will." My stomach tightened. I froze, listening, but before I could catch more, the sound of footsteps approached and Liam appeared, smiling like nothing had happened. "Everything okay, brother?" he asked casually, holding 2 glasses of champagne. I nodded, forcing a smile. As we clinked glasses, I looked at him, really looked at him, and for a fleeting second, I saw something cold in his eyes, something that didn't belong in a celebration. At that moment, I couldn't explain why, but a small, uneasy voice whispered inside me, "This isn't a reunion. It's a setup." For a few weeks after the engagement, life returned to what seemed like normal. Liam and Clara were busy planning their wedding, and I was content watching my family smile again. Yet beneath that surface calm, something in me stayed unsettled, a quiet whisper of doubt that refused to fade. It began with small things. One morning, Rachel mentioned that someone had been sitting in a car across the street for hours, watching the house. Another day, Ella came home from school in tears, saying a teacher asked about photos of our family that were circulating online. I checked and found a social media page, filled with edited images of us, twisted into cruel jokes. The account had no name, no traceable profile, just a mocking caption under each photo. Not everything that shines is gold. At first, I thought it was some sick prank, but the posts kept coming. Each more personal, each more deliberate. Someone knew too much about us. Then came the trouble at work. My company's website was suddenly flooded with one-star reviews. Anonymous emails accused me of fraud, claiming I stole investor funds. My business partners began to question my integrity. I spent sleepless nights trying to control the damage, my hands trembling each time a new rumor surfaced. Maybe it's a competitor, Rachel said, trying to reassure me. But her voice carried fear. She had started checking the locks twice before bed, her laughter now replaced by quiet worry. One night, just as I was closing my laptop, there was a knock at the door. It was Clara. Her eyes were red, her hair disheveled, her voice shaking. "Ethan," she whispered, "please listen to me. Liam isn't who you think he is. You need to be careful." My blood ran cold. "What are you talking about?" Before she could answer, headlights swept across the driveway. Liam stepped out of his car, his face dark with fury. He grabbed Clara's arm and forced a strained smile toward me. "Sorry about this," he said smoothly. "She's been stressed lately. Wetting nerves." Clara looked at me, silently pleading, before he pulled her away. As their car disappeared into the night, I stood frozen at the doorway, heart pounding. That same whisper from before returned, louder this time, a voice I couldn't ignore anymore. Something was coming, and whatever it was, it had already started. It was just past midnight when the final thread of my patience snapped. The strange incidents had grown into something darker, more deliberate. Someone was trying to destroy me, and I needed to know who. That night, I sat alone in my office, sifting through hundreds of messages, fake posts, and anonymous accusations. My company's reputation was collapsing by the hour. Clients I'd worked with for years were withdrawing their contracts, citing ethical concerns. I was being painted as a criminal, and I had no idea why. Then, while checking one of the burner email accounts that had sent the threats, I noticed something. A single message, a mistake, had been sent from a known IP address. My breath caught. I traced it using my IT team's tools. The location that appeared on screen made my stomach turn. Liam's apartment. For a long minute, I just stared at the glowing monitor. My hands went numb. I wanted to deny it, to find another explanation, but deep down, I already knew. The voice I'd been ignoring since that night at the party was right all along. The next morning, I drove to Clara's office, unannounced. She froze when she saw me, her face pale and eyes wide with something that wasn't surprise. It was fear. "Clara," I said quietly, "I know it's him. Please, tell me the truth." Her lips trembled as tears filled her eyes. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, as if a dam broke, the words poured out. "Liam blames you," she whispered. "He says you stole everything that should have been his. The company, your father's estate, even your mother's love. He's been planning this for months, Ethan. He wanted to ruin your name, your family, everything that makes you who you are." I felt the air leave my lungs. Why? What did I ever do to him? She looked down, shaking. "Your father changed his will before he died. He left almost everything to you because he believed Liam couldn't handle it. Liam found out a year later. He's never forgiven you. The engagement, all of this was part of his plan. He thought if you paid for it, it would make his victory sweeter when he tore you apart." I couldn't speak. The room felt smaller, my heartbeat echoing in my ears. "Clara," I said slowly, "did you know from the beginning?" She hesitated, then nodded. "He told me he just wanted to teach you a lesson, but it got out of control. He wouldn't stop." Her voice cracked. "I tried to warn you that night, but he threatened me, said if I ruined his plan, he'd destroy me too." I left her office in silence, my mind spiraling. Every smile, every handshake, every word of brotherhood, it had all been a lie. By the time I reached home, I wasn't angry anymore. I was hollow. I stare at the photo of Liam and me as kids on my desk. Two boys, arms around each other, grinning like the world was ours. That photo now felt like a cruel joke. My stepbrother hadn't come back for family. He'd come back for vengeance. The next day, I asked Liam to meet me at my office. My voice on the phone was steady, but inside, I was boiling. Every second that passed between the call and his arrival stretched like a wire ready to snap. He walked in with that familiar, easy smile, the same one that had fooled me for months. "You sounded tense," he said, taking a seat across from my desk. "Everything okay, brother?" The word brother burned in my ears. I leaned back, studying him, the calm posture, the calculated charm. "Tell me, Liam," I said quietly, "how long have you been planning this?" His smile faltered, just slightly. "Planning what?" I turned my laptop around, the IP logs glowing on the screen. "Don't insult my intelligence." For a moment, the room went dead silent. Then, slowly, the mask slipped. His expression hardened, cold, venomous. "So," he said, leaning forward, "you finally figured out." My throat tightened. "Why, Liam?" "After everything I did for you." He laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Everything you did for me? You mean everything you took from me? Dad's love, the inheritance, the life I should have had. You were always the favorite, the golden boy. Even when I tried, I could never be enough." I stood, anger surging. "I didn't take anything from you. You pushed everyone away." He slammed his hand on the desk, eyes blazing. "Because of you, you stood there, pretending to be the perfect son while I drowned in the shadow you cast. You think paying for my engagement was generosity? No, it was pity, your way of reminding me I'd always need your help." For a moment, I saw the broken boy behind the rage, the child who never healed. But sympathy couldn't erase what he'd done. "Do you have any idea what you destroyed?" I said, quietly. "My business, my name, my children's safety?" Something flickered in his eyes. Guilt, maybe, but it vanished as quickly as it came. He looked away. "You deserved it." Those 3 words cut deeper than any lie. Before I could respond, Clara burst in, her face streaked with tears. "Liam, stop. Please, this isn't who you are." Liam froze, his shoulders trembling. For the first time, his confidence cracked. His eyes met mine, not with hatred, but emptiness. "I never wanted it to go this far," he whispered. I took a step back. "Then, end it. Leave before you destroy what little you have left." He hesitated, then turned away, walking out without another word. The echo of the door closing behind him sounded like the end of something, not just our relationship, but the last piece of family I had left. After that confrontation, Liam vanished. No calls, no messages, no trace. But the chaos he'd unleashed didn't disappear with him. It lingered like smoke after a fire, choking everything I'd built. The media wouldn't stop talking. Rumors spread faster than truth, and though I tried to clear my name, the damage was already done. My company's reputation lay in ruins. Investors walked away one by one. I felt like I was standing in the ashes of my own life, clutching the charred remains of trust. Rachel tried to stay strong for the kids, but I could see the strain in her eyes. Nights grew longer. She'd wake from nightmares, whispering, "Why would he do this to you?" I had no answer that made sense. How do you explain betrayal born from blood, from someone who should have been your brother? Weeks passed before I heard from Clara again. She arrived at my office, her hands trembling as she handed me a thick envelope. Inside were copies of emails, bank transactions, and digital evidence. Everything proving Liam's involvement in the fraud and smear campaign. "I'm sorry," she said, voice breaking. "I couldn't let him destroy you any more than he already has." Her confession led to an official investigation. Within days, the police tracked Liam down in another city, hiding under a fake name. He was arrested for fraud, extortion, and cyber harassment. When I saw the footage on the news, something in me broke, not from satisfaction, but sorrow. He looked lost, not angry, not defiant, just empty. Clearing my name took months. Rebuilding my company took even longer. But the hardest part was rebuilding myself. I'd always believed that family was sacred, that forgiveness could fix anything. Now, I wasn't sure if some wounds were ever meant to heal. One evening, Rachel and I sat in silence, watching our kids play in the yard. The laughter that once filled our home was finally starting to return, soft and hesitant. She reached for my hand and whispered, "We'll be okay." For the first time in a long while, I believed her. Yet, deep down, a small ache remained, the memory of a brother I once loved, and the truth that love, when poisoned by envy, can destroy more than any enemy ever could. Months passed, and life slowly began to steady itself again. The storms Liam had unleashed finally started to fade, leaving behind silence, the kind that only follows after too much noise. My business was recovering, my name was cleared, and my family had begun to smile again. But peace didn't come easily. It had to be rebuilt, piece by fragile piece. One morning, I received a letter from the correctional facility. The handwriting was shaky but familiar. I knew before opening it that it was from Liam. For a long time, I just stared at it, unsure if I even wanted to read his words. But curiosity, or maybe the last remnants of brotherhood, won. "Ethan," it began, "I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know that revenge didn't fix anything. It didn't make me feel stronger or better. It made me empty. You didn't steal my life. I threw it away trying to hurt yours. I'm sorry, not because I got caught, but because I finally see what I became. I hope you never let hate turn you into me." I read it twice, then a third time. There was no manipulation in his words, no bitterness, just regret, raw and human. For the first time, I realized that behind his rage had always been pain he never knew how to carry. That weekend, I took my children to Countryside, the same place where Liam and I had spent our childhood summers. The old trees were taller, the air quieter. Standing there, I told them a story, not about betrayal, but about choices. "Family," I said softly, "isn't about blood. It's about how you choose to treat the people you love. Sometimes those choices hurt us. Sometimes they heal us. But they always define who we are." As the sun dipped below the hills, I took out Liam's letter, lit a match, and watched the paper curl into ash. Not out of anger, but release. Rachel slipped her hand into mine. The kids were laughing again, chasing each other to the tall grass, their voices echoing against the sky. For the first time in a long while, I felt light, not because the pain was gone, but because I'd finally accepted it. Forgiveness, I realized, isn't about forgetting the past. It's about choosing not to let it own you anymore.